Hello there, and welcome to today's episode of the Easy EdTech Podcast. My name is Monica Burns, and I am so glad that you're here to join me today. If you want to make the most of education technology, aka EdTech, well, you are in the right place. My goal has always been to help make EdTech easier and give you ideas you can try yourself, share with a colleague, or bookmark for later in the school year. Every Tuesday here on the Easy EdTech Podcast, you'll hear stories from my time in the classroom, the work I do now with schools and districts, and my travels to different EdTech events. Get ready for solo episodes where I share some quick tips and stories, and interviews full of practical ideas and stories from new guests each month. If we mention something you'd like to check out, make sure to click the link. You'll find it in the episode description or the summary area where you're listening to this podcast, or you can find every episode and all of the resources we mention by going to classtechtips.com/podcast, or by going to classtechtips.com and just clicking on the Easy EdTech Podcast button at the top of the page. This episode is sponsored by my Easy EdTech Club, a membership designed to help K-12 educators save time and simplify technology integration. When you join, you'll get instant access to dozens of months' worth of content from the past couple of years, plus new masterclasses, guides, and resources each month. It's all self-paced, so you can dive in whenever it works for your schedule. Head to easyedtechclub.com to learn more and sign up. That's easyedtechclub.com for all the details. This week's episode is titled Over a Dozen Quick Ways to Streamline Lesson Planning. And if you're looking to bring some fresh energy to your lesson planning process, I have a new resource to share with you. I think you're going to love it. It's designed for educators who want to use EdTech or education technology with intention without spending hours searching for new ideas. And that might be why you're a regular listener of the podcast already, or it may be why you stumbled across this episode and wanted to take a listen. It's always been near and dear to my heart to find ways to save educators time when you want to still maintain, those high quality learning experiences for students. So last year, I partnered with ASCD. They're the publisher of my books, EdTech Essentials and Task Before Apps, and my quick reference guides to create something totally new. And I think now they're underneath that ASCD and ISTE umbrella. So the thing that we created, it's not a book, it's not a guide, it's this colorful deck of strategy cards. And if you were at ISTE last year, you might have seen it in the bookstore. You might have seen me mention it, on past episodes or on the blog, or even maybe on Instagram. I know I share a couple of videos with them just because they're super easy to take a photograph of too. They're lots of fun. And it's essentially a deck of cards. There's no, ace of spades or anything like that. Instead, each card has a practical, ready to use tip. You could carry it in your pocket and keep it on your desk, or, share it amongst your colleagues too. So in today's episode, I'm going to share with you over a dozen ways to use these strategy cards. My deck is called Purposeful EdTech Tips, and it's part of this new product line from ASCD called Quick Wins Strategy Cards. And they're, designed to be a little bit different than a traditional professional learning tool, really flexible. Like I said, they can even fit inside your pocket. And if you have a deck of cards already, right, that's what I'm going to take you through, right? How to make the most of them in today's episode. And if you don't have them, you honestly don't even need them for these tips. You could kind of take a spin on these tips for your next professional learning experience. But I think it will really bring to light how to use a deck of cards, which might not feel like the most obvious type of professional learning resource. I think it's a lot of fun. So let's get into this list of over a dozen ways to really streamline lesson planning with the help of these strategy cards. First up, Start your week with a quick win. You can pick out one EdTech strategy card each, say Monday, and try it out during the week. You can even jot down a quick reflection in your planner about how it went on Fridays and what you would adjust next time. This is a great way to build a small weekly routine that could build some momentum and keep things fresh throughout the school year. So for example, you pick out a card, it might have an activity idea, you try it out on say Tuesday or Wednesday once you get your wheels spinning about it. And then on Friday, you take that note, reflect a little bit about it, and on Monday you start again. Or you might use it to spark a coaching conversation. If you're an instructional coach, you could use a strategy card to launch your next conversation with a teacher. It's an easy entry point that encourages some purposeful use of technology. This is a nice one if you want to keep things kind of like low stakes. Maybe you're thinking about some big ways to spark a conversation with someone as opposed to something specific related to an observation. You might pull out an idea and connect it back to something you have seen in the past, or let it start, the two of you talking about what might be possible with some technology. So this works especially well if someone's feeling like overwhelmed with, I don't know where to start, right? Where they should begin. They can pick out a card and you can use it to launch your conversation. Number 3 is to jumpstart your PLC time. You could share a few strategy cards with your PLC during your next meeting. So it would be a great way to share some quick ideas that could help you explore some new approaches to, say, student engagement or formative assessment. And it might even help spark some cross-grade or cross-subject collaboration, depending on how your group is structured. So jumpstarting your PLC time, this could totally be a great one. Number 4 on the list is to add to your lesson plan binder. If you are a paper and planner type of person, I've got a paper planner here in my office. As I'm recording this, I like to have digital stuff on my phone, right? Give me my reminders about certain things, but I like to see things at a glance. And you might be that way too with lesson plans. So you could tuck cards into your lesson plan binder just for some easy access, maybe during a prep period. You could keep them visible as just a reminder of, oh, right, I wanted to try this thing this week. And you could even, clip one with paperclip to your weekly planner page just as a quick reference or reminder. Number 5, create a monthly challenge. Set a goal or two, to explore 1 or 2 new strategy cards per month as a team. This would give you, plenty of time to test some ideas and reflect on what worked or what didn't work before moving on to the next tip. So you could even celebrate each month's card of the month with a quick share during a faculty meeting. Say, your group comes together the first week of the month, you pick out a card, say, or 2, and say, these are the 2 we're going to focus on, choose one. And then at the end of the month, you might come back together and share some experiences. Number 6 of our 12 plus today is to personalize PD for colleagues. So in my Purposeful EdTech Tips strategy cards deck, there are actually 4 categories: AI prompts, student activities, teacher tips, and formative assessments. So you could do this to customize professional learning for your team. You might say, for this group I'm working with, or for this teacher I'm helping out with, right? Some of their planning, I know we're working on student activities, and you pull a card from that part of the deck. So great way to make this a little more personalized to someone's needs. All right, we're just about halfway through. So far on our list, we said start your week with a quick win, spark a coaching conversation, jumpstart your PLC time, add to your lesson plan binder, create a monthly challenge, personalize PD for colleagues, and next up is try something new in your next unit. So if you are listening to this in February and you're like, okay, this is what's coming up later this month, this is what I'm planning for March, as you design a new unit, flip through the student activity or AI prompt cards. Those are probably a good part to start. They're all color coded. And you can start there for some inspiration. The tips in these categories can help you bring a bit more creativity and differentiation into your lessons. So you could just, consider bringing one and to your next unit as you're starting your planning or right as you're finishing up, right? You might pull one and say, okay, this doesn't work for my last week of this unit, but I'm going to try this out for next time. You could use these cards as a station activity during professional learning. So you might set up a station at your next professional learning event or meeting using a selection of cards. Teachers could rotate through and choose a tip to discuss with colleagues. You could even post a chart paper, or participants can add sticky notes so teachers can share how they might implement the tip on each card. Also a great way to share some management strategies, classroom management strategies for station rotation, if that's something you're talking to your colleagues about. Next up, you might use these cards as an icebreaker during a workshop. We're always looking for new icebreaker ideas. If you're the person who's been tasked with choosing one or the person who chooses ones for your group, as you can tell they're kind of losing steam or feeling overwhelmed, you might give this to them as an idea to kick off a workshop or faculty meeting by passing around a few EdTech strategy cards or passing around the deck and having everyone choose one. And then ask participants to talk about what resonates with them and share how they might use that strategy. Good way to have everyone starting a conversation. I mean, it's always fun to say, like, what's your favorite type of bagel or your favorite flavor of ice cream? But this might be one that feels a bit more intentional if you're going to launch into a conversation around ed tech. Now, next up, we got a couple more for you here. You might build a bulletin board of wins. So celebrate some of the innovative things you're seeing in classrooms by creating a bulletin board where staff can pin cards they've tried. Great way to share success stories without putting someone on the spot or having them stand up in front of a meeting if they're not comfortable doing that. And if you don't have a physical board, you could use a digital space like Padlet. I'm a big fan of Padlet. Just did a post in partnership with them on the blog last month. And you and your colleagues could post ways they use ideas from the strategy cards on a Padlet page too. You could also use these cards to pair a strategy, I should say, with a favorite EdTech tool. So you could match a card with a tool you're already loving as part of your tool belt. This especially works for the teacher tips piece. So you might do something connected to, say, Book Creator or Canva, right? So the EdTech strategy cards, that you choose would offer, right, a suggestion that you could blend easily into tools that are already in your rotation. So you might discover a new way to use a tool that you thought you knew inside and out, or maybe even substitute a tool suggestion with one already in your tool belt. Now I've got just, 4 more of these strategies for you as we get ready to wrap up today's episode. You could set a semester goal using the cards. So choose a handful of cards, commit to trying them out before, a big milestone on your calendar like spring break or a 3-day weekend or, something else that, is a milestone for the year. You could even create a checklist or a reflection journal to track your growth. So this works well as a personal goal or something to do with a small teaching team. You could also kick off a new semester with a fresh tip. So if you're about to head into, say, the 4th quarter of the year or the 3rd trimester, you could start that new chunk of the school year and use one of these cards to refresh your routine. So gathering a new idea or, it's a great part of the year. It doesn't have to be like day 1 in August or September or January 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, right? You could use that new semester start as a great time to try something new. Now, you, of course, could use this on your own, but you might decide to try out these cards with student teachers or even new colleagues. So I mentioned the coaching strategy before, kind of a spin on this one. If you're mentoring a new educator this year, you could introduce them to an EdTech strategy card, provide some support. You might pick that one out first and have a concrete, strategy that you could bring to them. So great way to start a conversation with someone who might feel a little intimidated if they are, not sure where to start or not sure when to ask for help. And then, of course, our last one is kind of a wrap-up one. If you're prepping for the next school year when you're listening to this, or your next unit of study, you can do so with some help from this deck. So as you're reflecting during different parts of the year, pull out a card and note which strategies you want to try now and which ones you want to try during the next school year or your next unit. Maybe you sort them into piles like a must try and an explore later, or maybe a for a friend if it's not like a strategy you would use with your group. So this process could really help you build a strong foundation towards the end of the year before you even get into a summer or extended break. So as you can tell from the more than a dozen strategies I just rattled off for you, there are so many ways to use these strategy cards. Or if you have a list of things you've been wanting to try this year, you can kind of put it in place for these strategy cards. But I think they work really well with these decks. You can find the decks on Amazon, on ASCD's website, and each one of these decks includes 50 bite-sized tips in those 4 categories I mentioned. AI prompts to use with tools like ChatGPT or Gemini, student activities that foster creativity, teacher tips for instructional planning, and formative assessment strategies that you could use right away. So if you already have a deck, flip through the cards, gather some ideas, share with a teacher friend, and if not, I'll make sure to link out to where you can find them. So let's make this EdTech easy. Let's finish up this episode like we always do with a few key points. Choose one strategy card each week to try and reflect on your experience. Use the cards to spark coaching, conversations, or PLC discussions. Pair a strategy card with your favorite EdTech tools. Set personal or team goals by selecting cards and implementing a new strategy each month. Remember, you can find the show notes and the full list of resources from today's episode by heading over to easyedtechpodcast.com. This episode is sponsored by my Easy EdTech Club, a membership designed to help K-12 educators save time and simplify technology integration. When you join, you'll get instant access to dozens of months' worth of content from the past couple of years, plus new masterclasses, guides, and resources each month. It's all self-paced, so you can dive in whenever it works for your schedule. Head to easyedtechclub.com to learn more and sign up. That's easyedtechclub.com for all the details. Thank you for listening to this new episode of the Easy EdTech Podcast. I love creating new episodes for you each week, but I could use a bit of help spreading the word about the podcast. Can you leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app? Spotify will let you tap on the stars, and Apple Podcasts will let you tap on the stars and leave a 1 or 2 sentence review. Thank you so much for taking this extra step. It helps other educators find episodes like this one when they're searching for EdTech tips.